Hello, my name is Samuel Hirschhorn. I'm a co-founder of Biosis Real Estate Development, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to our company and to our exciting investment opportunity at Kemptville Commons. Before I get started, I just want to provide a legal disclaimer that this project is being governed by the National Instrument 4506 Prospectus Exemption. Any of the information that we're providing here is accurate to the best of our knowledge and to our opinions and assumptions based on the information we have at the time. We don't predict the future, but we do everything within our power to be able to come up with accurate projections. And so the information here, take with a grain of salt. Make sure you're doing your own due diligence and in your own research. And we encourage all of our investors to seek professional legal advice prior to making any commitments. So biosis is a suffix stemming from the Greek term bios, meaning mode of life. And here at Biosis Real Estate Development, we help build the best mode of life for our investors and for our communities through real estate development. And we've got a very interesting investment opportunity to present to you here. So we're raising $3.2 million from investors to finance the development of our 48-unit stacked townhouse community in Kemptville, Ontario. This project features a little over 2 acres of prime real estate location. We've managed to get this property under contract at almost a 50% discount to similar properties in the area. And Kemptville is a high-growth market in urgent need of rentals. Some of the key highlights here, we've got an amazing expert team behind the real estate development and the management. The property is in a fantastic location, and the returns are really solid for our investors. We're targeting an annual rate of return of 23%, as well as a return of all investor capital by the end of year 2, roughly November 2027. And if you stick it out through the lifespan of the project, we're anticipating a 2.4 multiple on your investment. So the development and management team, I myself am a licensed architect with over 10 years in the industry. I've designed and constructed a mix of residential, institutional, and industrial buildings with values that have exceeded $50 million each. I've co-founded Biosis Real Estate in 2022 with 3 other partners, and I've co-founded Biosis Designs in 2023. That's our architecture firm, does all of our designs in-house. Also partnering with me on the development side, we've got Graham Potter. He is a civil and structural engineer with over 14 years in the industry. He has an executive MBA and a master's degree in civil engineering, and he's provided engineering services to a mix of residential, institutional, and infrastructural projects with values that have exceeded $60 million. Also on the team is Michael Davidson, a top-performing sales executive for large tech companies. He has an executive MBA and a degree in business administration and HR. He's a serial entrepreneur, a developer in his own right, and a real estate investor with his own wide-ranging portfolio. He's also a triathlete, an author, and a podcast host. And last but not least, Dakota Scott, a personal friend who I went to university with and studied architecture with. He ended up going the architectural technologist route with over 10 years in the industry, and he's worked with some of the top architecture and engineering firms in Toronto. He has experience leading complex projects from custom homes, condominiums, and wellness resorts to major infrastructure projects like the Metrolinx transit stations. So we've got a few projects on the go in Ottawa, both some of our projects and in partnership with other developers. The Rock Street Apartment, a 6-story, 66-unit apartment complex in Orleans. Maryvale Apartment is another 6-story, 20-unit apartment complex just to the west of the main heart of Ottawa. We did a expansion and conversion from a single-family home to a 6-unit apartment, also in Ottawa, further out towards the west end. And we're currently putting the final touches on a new triplex in the Britannia Beach area. So lots of experience working in Ottawa and the surrounding area. We have an extensive past experience in the design and construction industry as well, doing things from assisted living facilities, infrastructure projects like the Island Ferry docks. We've done retail projects, we've done industrial projects, as well as long-term care home and residential works. So long history in this field and in this industry. So let's get into the town of Kemptville. We've performed some extensive market analysis and why we love this project and this site. It's a very sought after place to live. Kemptville is a smaller town that's been growing at such an incredibly rapid rate. Average is 1.8% per year, but their population is expected to increase another 16% by year 2026 from year 2021 levels. And to accommodate for that growth, the municipality is doubling the size of their wastewater treatment plant, and they're expanding their major road, County Road 43, that passes right by our site, going from 2 lanes to 4. They understand that there is a ton of development that's going to be happening to keep up with this demand for housing. Another great benefit to this site is there is almost no rental supply available, but there's huge demand for it because of the proximity to Ottawa and the fact that Ottawa is just full. A lot of people are moving out of the city, but they still want access to those big city amenities. So towns like Kemptville are becoming the place to go for people who want to commute or work from home or are looking to start a family and have a bit more space to work with. And Kemptville is an ideal landing spot for them. But the price of housing in Ottawa and in Kemptville and most of Ontario has been pushed up to points where it's almost not affordable for someone who's got a young family or who's a young working professional to afford to buy a house. So they're looking to rent. But the vacancy rate in Kemptville is almost at 0%. There's just nothing on the market available. So the huge demand for it, and the government, the local government, understands that this is a big problem. So they've provided very favorable development conditions, expedited approvals, development charge discounts, added density for providing a small percentage of affordable housing, all of which we're taking advantage of in this project. So this is an aerial view of the town of Kemptville. You can see our project is located right in the central part of town. Right here, this is our project off of County Road 43. It's seconds to the Highway 416, which takes you to Ottawa. It's only a short hop, skip, and a jump to a major commercial and employment center. There's also future commercial development going on in the north end part of the town. Over here in the highlighted section, this is where your local government exists, but there's also community center, shopping, health, wellness, and other employment centers and activities. And down here is the Kemptville Mall, where you got a lot of shopping centers, grocery stores, and amenities. To the south of the town, there are campuses for the University of Guelph. There's a fairground. This is where they host music festivals and food truck festivals. Lots of activities, especially during the summer months, that attract a lot of visitors, a lot of families looking to get out and do fun things. It's a happening place. And then lastly, the province is bringing in a new penitentiary. They've already allocated the additional infrastructure for this development. We're anticipating that the penitentiary will be fully built and occupied within the next 5 years, and it's going to bring a huge demand for housing to the area. The other attractive part of Kemptville is that it's a fantastic place to live with a great livability score. Crime rate is 66% lower than the national average. Employment is 30% higher. And the median income for all households at $108,000, it's higher than the city of Ottawa and much higher than Ontario in general. And for a single individual, that median income's around $50,000, again, higher than both Ottawa and Ontario. And lastly, here are the housing demand projections. As you can see, by 2026, the population is set to grow from a little under 18,000 to over almost 21,000 people. And so they desperately need that housing to keep up with the pace. So here's our development proposal. We've secured this site. It's currently being used for commercial self-storage. It's zoned residential, but this self-storage usage has carried with the site for the last 20 years. As you can see, there's a lot of material storage, some equipment. It's really just a bare site, but it's quite a large site, and there's a lot of room to maneuver and work with. We've also just completed our round of environmental testing. Phase 1 and Phase 2 is complete. There is no contamination. We're currently getting our record of site condition done as part of our rezoning for the site. But here was the initial site plan. So initially we were going to build 4 blocks of 12 units with a central parking area. But after negotiations with the town and the municipality of North Grenville, that road that you can see passing through the center of our development here, which was going to be a private road that we were going to build, the municipality said, hey, why don't you use our land to the south and build a road there? Which is great, because now we've recouped about 13,000 square feet of land. And we're putting that land back into the project, more green space, including a central playground area that's going to make this very attractive place to rent, especially if you've got young kids, and we're going to be able to command higher rents. Plus, we learned that because of the extra land, we're going to be able to fit 4 additional units on the site, which has just made this development even more attractive financially. So here's a concept of what we're planning. These are based on our designs. This was based on the original plan, which was the 4 12-block units. So it's going to change slightly, but it still gives you a sense of what we're going for, which is a modern take on a stacked townhouse development. Higher end living, higher command of rents, a higher quality of tenant, and very upscale. There are backyards for people on the lower units. It's going to be fantastic. People are going to be loving these townhouses. So here's our investment strategy. We've got to take the site through a rezoning process and then through site plan and building permits. That's going to take about 12 months. We started that process back in September. We are completed our ESA Phase 2, going for record of site condition. We're motoring. We're making great progress here. After approvals, we'll break ground, and because of some compressed schedules and creative construction techniques, including integrating modular framing systems, we're going to be able to build these things in about 16 months. That's our projection. And then another 8 months roughly until we can stabilize the project, get it all leased up, and then from that point, we can pull the equity out, return all of our investor capital, and it's just pure profit and distributions from there. We're anticipating a 48-month hold period, and then at the end of that period, we will sell the project likely to a REIT or a high net worth investor who wants to have a really high class rent as part of their portfolio. So we've closed our first capital round. There's high demand for that. We've opened up our second capital round. That's currently what we're raising for. That round is going to be closed by mid-January. I'm going to go into the returns in a sec. So right now, here's where I introduce another favorable part of this strategy, which is that there are multiple exits available to us. Once we're through rezoning, the value of the property will double just because we've upped the density allowance in the zoning bylaw. So if we wanted to, we could probably flip that for a small profit. The next exit point, get it through to building permits, flip the permits over to a developer, and they can build it themselves. Again, the value at that point around triple what we're paying. So that is some more profit. We could build it ourselves and then sell the completed building to a REIT, to another investment firm, and they can hold a Class A property and take over the management themselves. Or we hold on to it, which is the preferred method, and we take it right through to the end of the 48 months and before doing a final sale. So here's some highlights from our underwriting. So we purchased the property for $930,000 or $10 a square foot. The total project cost is going to be about $17 million, and the value upon completion will be about $19.5 million. So $2.7 million in added value upon completion. The annual projected income is $1.3 million with a net operating income of $1.01. And that's using expense percentage of income at about 29%, which is pretty industry standard. annual cash on cash taken from once upon stabilization, to the end of the project is about 32%, with an anticipated sale price at the end of that period at $24 million. And the project level internal rate of return is 28%. But the key things to highlight here for our investors: you get 100% return of your capital at the end of year 2 upon stabilization. We're underwriting a DCR, or a debt coverage ratio, of 1.2, which is higher than we need. Since we're going to be doing CMHC financing, the minimum DCR is 1.1, and that would allow you to get 95% loan to value. We've been conservative in our underwriting, doing it to 1.2, and these are the numbers that we're getting in that projection. Finally, strong financial returns. If you want more information about our underwriting and all of our research, access the data room. It's going to be open to you. You'll see all of our calculations, including our pro forma spreadsheet, which you can actually play with and stress test these numbers yourself. So here are the basic terms of the investment. We, the sponsors, we're going to be putting up about $200,000 of our own money. We've already invested about $100,000 into securing the property, running due diligence, conducting and paying for engineering and design fees. We're raising $3.2 million from investors. This covers rezoning applications, closing on the property, getting through site plan approvals and permits, and all the way through our first construction draw. After that point, CMHC lender comes in, funds the rest of the project. We'll get a little bit of money back as well. And then we'll be carrying hefty amounts for operating reserves, escrows, and contingencies, because it's absolutely critical that we have adequate cash to float the project during construction. And lastly, there's the debt financing, which I touched on. We're anticipating about $14 million will be required as part of a loan. So here's how we're structuring the project in general. We've got the property that's held in a holding corporation. We've got our limited partners formed of Class A, B, and M shares. We've got the Class M shares are held by our company, Biosis, as the managing partners. And then we are also the project managers. So we have a separate company that is the active component managing the development. We do a simple 70% equity to the investor partners and 30% equity to the managing partners. There are some development fees that we charge the project. That goes to paying salaries. That goes to our systems for managing and ensuring that the project is being taken care of. And then the holding company holds the actual title in trust for the beneficial ownership of our limited partners. And the way we've structured the returns, so we've got 3 classes. The Class A, that's our first money in. We are giving all of our investors in this share class an additional 10% annual return. It's a preferred return. So if you come in, you're the early money in. There's no distributions being passed out at this point. You deserve an extra percentage for taking on that extra risk and putting your trust in us this early in the process. So that's a compounding annual return that gets applied right up until you get all your money back. After everyone gets their money back, you get your bonus paid out, and from there, the profits from the project are split 70-30. So right now we are in our second funding round. The first funding round has officially closed. This funding round does receive that preferred return, those Class A shares. That gets you an equity multiple of 2.7 and an internal rate of return of almost 25%. So on a $50,000 minimum investment, you'll receive net profits of roughly $87,000. Not too shabby. But round 2 is filling up. We only have to raise $400,000 for this for this round, and with an average investment that our investors are making, it only means that there are a couple spots for this round. And in terms of the general project, we're only looking to work with about 20 to 25 investors. So availability is limited. Please reach out to us to book your spot and get to know us a bit better as well in the process. So just to summarize our deal, it's in a fantastic location, high growth, high demand, almost no vacancy. The median incomes are very high compared to the rest of Ontario and to Ottawa. There are lots of great amenities. It's really a destination spot for young working professionals, young families, and even retirees who are looking to move out of the city. This project is going to be managed by an expert team. I'm a licensed architect. My partners are engineers, architectural technologists, and developers, and we have combined 40 plus years designing and building real estate. And the returns of this project are really solid. We do a lot of underwriting. We look at a lot of deals. We're very conservative. I know everybody says that. I firmly believe we're quite conservative in our underwriting. And yet this project is coming out at a 23% internal rate of return. It's very hard to get that, even with the stock market taking off these days. There's so much volatility out there, whereas this is a very stable asset. It's going to be backed by real estate. Even if the worst case scenario happens, we can still sell the land to recoup our investment. And there are multiple investment strategies that I went over, which you're not going to get at in the stock market. And the bond market, it might be more secure. You're not going to get these sort of returns. And again, there is some fluctuation in the bond market as well. And then the last point here is that you will receive your full capital back in plus or minus 28 months. That means you can take that capital and reinvest it, but you still have full equity in the project. You're still participating in that 70-30 split of all the upside. So that's just an extra incentive to be investing in real estate. If this interests you, if this is right up your alley, give us a call, find out more. We've got so much information on our investor portal and data room. You can access all of our research and analysis. What I haven't gone into is our sustainability initiatives. We're very big on sustainability, not just for the benefit to society and to the environment, but also to our investors' pockets. We go into our sustainable initiatives in a lot more detail. We've got a comprehensive risk management plan that I encourage you to review. We've got a great investor relations process and onboarding process. And then lastly, you should be reviewing all of our legal documents before you make any commitments. So how do you invest? Well, number one, book a call with us, get access to our portal. We have e-signing agreements that get done. And then lastly, it's a simple matter of wiring the funds or going direct deposits. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for your time. Really hope that you'll give us a call. And we don't have very many spots left. So please do reach out to us as soon as you think that this is the right fit.